So I did canoeing as my mode of activity. So what is canoeing? Canoeing is an activity where you can use a single-bladed paddle to move the canoe through water. It's a semi-light weighted narrow boat, so you can see in the pictures in the bottom left and right. And then this is a short video. We'll watch it later, maybe. The benefits of canoeing, so it improves your cardiovascular fitness because even though you are sitting, it is a workout. It increases your muscle strength, mainly in your back, arms, shoulders, chest. It's from pushing the paddle through the water, that resistance really. And it also works your torso because you have to rotate in order to push the paddle from front to the back of the water in order to go forward and to turn. It eases stress and clears the mind. So you can see in the top right-hand corner, the lady's just out on the lake. It looks very peaceful and calm. It's also a social opportunity. So in the middle picture, you can do it with your friends, your family. There's usually a lot of other people out there on the lake, especially when it's summertime and it's warm outside. It is low impact, so you're not jumping or thumping or anything like that. It also gives you really great views and a different perspective that you wouldn't be able to see from land. So I know a lot of people like to do that when they go hiking. You could canoe camp, so you could canoe to a camping site and then canoe back. It's a way to get outdoors and get fresh air without really having to walk. It could also be done at high or low intensity, so it is what you make out of it. So the cons of canoeing, it is hard to transport and store because they are lightweight, but it would still require maybe one or two people to carry it, and they are pretty big, so you'd have to have an area to store the canoe at, or you'd have to rent out an area to store it in. Location-wise, canoeing only really works if you have access to water that you can canoe in. So if you lived in a mainland that didn't have a lot of ponds or lakes around you, it would kind of be hard to canoe. Seasonal, depending on area. So in the top corner, you see the lake's frozen. You can't canoe if there's no water to canoe in. So if you're in an area that was temperate, like New England, like North Carolina, you could probably only canoe in the warmer months. Safety-wise, this could be a pro and a con. Safety-wise, you have to be wearing a life jacket and you have to know the proper techniques. Cell reception, so if you were to canoe out somewhere and there was a storm coming or something and you needed someone to know where you were, or you needed someone to come get you, we're not really sure how good the cell reception would be depending on how big the lake you're in. And emergency vehicle access, same thing for that. Cars can't get out there. You'd really just need to have a boat somewhere near you. So barriers to doing this activity, it does require techniques. You should probably learn how to hold the paddle and the technique to go forwards, to go backwards, to turn, the proper way to sit so you don't hurt your back. Another barrier, like I said before, is location. So if you're not near a lake, it's going to be harder. Money-wise, canoeing does cost a lot of money initially to get the canoe, to get the paddles, the equipment you need. It could also cost money if you need access to a lake that maybe is a private lake, it's only one near you. Companions, maybe you don't have a friend to canoe with, maybe you're too weak to be able to canoe by yourself, you need someone else, and maybe you don't have that. Strength, like I just said, maybe you can only canoe for a little bit because it is hard to canoe. Arm muscles, you need a lot of arm strength, back strength. Maybe you're scared of the water, so maybe that's a fear you need to get over. Safety hazards, so storms, number one safety hazard. Rapids, just like bad weather, could be a barrier, a safety hazard to you being able to canoe. So you're obviously not going to go canoe in a storm. Drowning, you should be wearing a life jacket, but if you weren't wearing a life jacket and you happen to fall out the canoe, there is a chance you could drown. Fatigue is also a big safety hazard. So maybe you thought you were in better shape than you were and you canoed really far out onto the lake, and now you're just really tired and you don't have energy to get back. Cost. So I looked these up. A used canoe averages $400 to $550, while a new canoe costs about $900. So it's a big investment to make if you want to start this mode of exercise. I know you could also rent canoes out. I'm not sure how much that is, but still it would probably be considerably up there. Canoe storage racks, if you own the canoe, are between $150 and $200, and then you still need the space to put the canoe and the storage rack. Transportation also costs money if you can't transport it on your own car. Maybe your car is too small, maybe you don't have space. You'd need to pay someone to transport your canoe, and that depends on how far you need them to transport it for. Paddles, you need to buy paddles as well. You need to buy a life jacket if you want to be safe. And some waters require a membership or a residence to get into. So that's also something that would cost something. And manufacturer claims. I looked this up. I didn't see a lot of manufacturer claims because canoes are typically made really safe. They're hard to tip over. The weight distribution is really good. So you'd have to really, really rock the canoe in order for it to tip over. But it does float. So you could hold on to the canoe if you're drowning. And if you swim under it and up, there's an air pocket that is under the canoe. So if there was like a storm or something and you fell out of your canoe, you could still, and you couldn't hold on, you could still be under it and be able to breathe. So I think that is it. So that concludes my presentation on canoeing.